So, you think I'm gonna say something funny now, huh? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I am in a mood. Because this last year has been, hands down, feet up, elbows off to the side, the worst year I have ever had. Without question, without qualification, without any kind of explanation. It was as bad as it has ever been. Welcome to the comedy show, everybody! See, this is one of those times I actually kind of do wish I could see your face, because if I did that right, then there are some of you right now that are experiencing what I like to call mental whiplash. How should we react to that? Like, he sounds like he's having a bad time, but that giggle at the end. I'll give you a little cheat sheet. If I were to say that while we are in private, if you just serious looks, then sympathy is fine, concern is fine. But when I say stuff like that, when I'm on stage, when the lights are shining down upon me, when I have the mic in my hand, I'm looking for laughter, people. Because comedy is tragedy plus time. And I'm not saying that I dealt with a lot of hideous tragedies this past year. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I finally met the woman of my dreams, and after a whirlwind romance, we got married, but shortly afterwards, she was diagnosed with cancer, and we spent all of our money, we burned through our savings, we had to lose the house, we went bankrupt, and it still didn't work. She's just got sicker and sicker, and then finally, she was there lying in her deathbed, which is better than a death cot or a death hammock. They don't sound as comfortable. And then she just looked up at me with wheezing voice, and then she confessed that she never really loved me. She only married me out of pity and to get what little money I had. And in fact, she had grown to hate me and had been slowly poisoning me over the last months. And she was happy because the chemicals were about to kick in, and soon my internal organs would turn into a goo, like the witch at the end of Wizard of Oz. Spoilers if you've never seen that movie. And then with her final breaths, she said, I am happy because even though I'm about to die, you are about to experience a fate worse than death, followed by actual death. I'm not saying that's the kind of tragedy I was dealing with. What I'm talking about is, Mel Brooks described the difference between comedy and tragedy. He said, tragedy is if I get a paper cut on my hand because it hurts, it's bleeding, it's sore, it's itching, I'm gonna have to put a Band-Aid on it, I'm worried if it's gonna get infected, it's gonna ruin my whole day. He said, comedy is if you fall into an open sewer and die. What do I care? Didn't happen to me. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about some stuff that made me miserable in the hopes that you will find it amusing. We'll see. So this past year, my brain turned on me. Actually, that's not really true. My brain has always turned on me. But last year, it got really, really competent. Like, it raised its game to a level that I frankly never anticipated. I mean, credit where it's due, it was on its game. I have never felt so miserable for so long before. And it got to the point where my overriding goal was just to get through the day. Wasn't trying to look for love, wasn't trying to achieve success. I just wanted to get to 12 o'clock midnight, still be breathing, and that was it. And while I was going through this dark period, when I was just wanting somebody, anybody, to come up to me and offer sympathy, to show that they care, and my parents don't count on this, all right? Parents are supposed to love you unconditionally. I needed an impartial third party. So while I was waiting for somebody, anybody, this friend, someone I considered a friend, came up to me. And my God, I will never forget what they said to me. They looked me straight in the eye and said, "What's the deal?" I said, "What?" And they said, "You're not acting like yourself there. You're bringing everybody down." Okay, I hate that phrase. You're not acting like yourself. You know why? Because I am myself. I looked in the mirror. You know who was looking back at me? The same idiots that's been looking back at me ever since I was born. I cannot act like someone. I cannot turn into someone else. If I could, do you seriously think that this is what I would have chosen? This short, nerdy, goofy-looking doofus in front of you? Oh no! No, I got taste. I would have picked something better. And whenever they said that, I realized, oh my God, they don't care that I'm struggling. They're just annoyed that I'm not the happy, helpful little doofus that they've gotten used to dealing with. And that was the turning point. At that point there, I started looking over my life, my family, my friends, my job, my hobbies, basically everything that made me who I am. I was looking at it under a microscope. And I cannot express in words how much I recommend that you do not do this to yourself without professional help. See, I didn't have any of that because I refused to go to therapy. Not because it's too expensive. Not because it's too time-consuming. Not because I would have to be revealing intimate thoughts to a stranger. Hell, I'm doing that right now. No, I don't want to go to therapy because I don't want to damage a therapist. See, they would be trying to tell me, like, listen, life is beautiful. It's magical. It's worth living. You need to get out there. And I know me, I would argue the opposite point just to be a smart aleck. And without bragging, I am good at arguments. I make notes. I get reference material. I go after it. And I could see a situation in which a licensed psychotherapist would get up out of their chair, walk up to me, and smack me in the face as hard as they possibly could. And really, why should I pay someone else to do that? I could do that to myself. I have done that to myself. So things just kept getting worse and worse. Every time I thought I'd hit bottom, I found myself another shovel and I commenced to digging again. And when you are spiraling downward like that, you have a couple options. Option one is that you do try and realize that life is beautiful and that the troubles and struggles that you're going through are temporary and that the sun will shine again. Actually, the sun is shining all the time, whether you can see it or not. Is that being inspirational or stating a scientific fact? You decide. The other option is to put on goggles to keep the air out of your eyes, put your foot to the floor, and see how fast you can get going before you crash. And that was sort of the option I chose. I thought to myself, Wile E. Coyote is going to be so proud of the crater that I leave. But the stupid thing was, after a while, I just sort of ran out of steam. And that was irritating in its own way. Do you know how frustrating it is to realize that you even fail at self-destruction? Like, if you're trying to fall and you miss the ground, that's remarkably incompetent. So, with no other option in sight, I decided, crud, might as well try and make myself better. And so, that's what I've been doing for the last few months. I've been picking up the wreckage, trying to piece it together, repair what I could, and it's getting better, although I am starting to run low on duct tape and glue. I didn't say that they were pretty repairs. I'm just trying to get stuff functioning again. But I did learn a couple things over the last few months I wanted to share with them. First of all, if at first you don't succeed, you can quit. There's nothing that says that you have to keep doing something just because you started it, unless you're doing CPR. You keep at that, you monster. But if you're doing something that is damaging your soul, like, try something else. Doesn't matter if it's a hobby or a job, there are other options out there. And the other thing I learned is just because someone was a friend with you once, doesn't mean they're going to be a friend forever. And that was a hard lesson to learn. Although oddly enough, probably the closest friend I have on this planet is someone that I have not physically seen or spoken with for about 5 years. Indeed, that's probably the reason why we are still friends. I mean, because let's face it, this can be annoying. So, if you are in a good situation in your life, be thankful. And if you're in a bad situation, now is a perfect time to think about changing it. Although don't be stupid like I was. Like if you need help, ask for it. Because doing this has actually helped me. So thank you for being part of my therapy. And also thank you for not smacking me in the face. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I hope you all enjoy the swearing that's to come. That's a personal flaw of mine that I don't do. Sorry about that. And you all have a good evening.